Hey everybody, it's Ian the Off Kilter Crafter. I hope you're having a great day today. Today I'm continuing with my Pantone Color of the Year for 2018 using Ultraviolet in today's card. It's a little subtle hint of it, but I think it works well, so let's go ahead and see how I put the card together. You've seen me use the Pantone Color of the Year that just happens to be a Distress ink color, which is Wilted Violet, and you've seen me use it in the Distress ink, but this time I'm going to switch it out and use the Distress Oxide. Same exact color, Wilted Violet, but it's going to have a little bit of a different effect, and I've resisted getting the Distress Oxides because I already have the Distress inks. I don't need to start collecting another set of Distress products, but I just couldn't help it, and I broke down and bought 2 Distress Oxides in Wilted Violet and Broken China. So let's go ahead and do a little bit of sponging. I have an idea for this card, and the overall tone is going to be the Pantone Color of the Year, the Ultraviolet, or in this case Wilted Violet. But I want to add a little bit of another color to kind of break it up, which I'm going to be using as Broken China. These colors look like they're going to work really well, and one of the things that I love about the Distress Oxides is you can layer them so that way they layer on top of each other and still can be seen. It's really a weird property that the Distress Oxides have. I'll let you see what happens as I start blending these together. I also did break down, I should say, and I bought some Bristol paper. This is Strathmore Bristol paper 300 series, not sure what that means, but it is super smooth paper, perfect for blending, perfect for inking, perfect for all sorts of different things. So let's go ahead and get started by inking this up. Now that I've gotten my panel all colored up, I'm going to go ahead and use the Stamper Anonymous Hipster stamp set to stamp one of my images on the front of this panel. I'm going to put it right about, I want to say right about there. I better put the magnets on so that way it doesn't move very much. I think I want to put my image right about there. Perfect. I'm going to go ahead and place the other magnet around the center just to make sure that it's locked and loaded. I am going to flip it over because right now I have it on the clear stamp side and I need to flip it over to the rubber stamp side and pick it up. I'm going to also use some VersaFine ink to stamp the image. And just for good measure, I'm going to go ahead, now that I have it stamped, and heat set everything just to make sure it is nice and dry for the next step, because that's going to be pretty critical. Next, I'm going to take this stencil from the Tim Holtz collection. This one's called Clockwork, and I'm going to lay it across the top and spray it with a little water so that way the Distress Oxide will react with that water. React, I guess I was correct when I said that, but it'll react with the water and then will hopefully give me a really cool effect on the surface of my card. Let's see if I can make that work. Now that I have my stencil pretty much where I want it, I'm going to go ahead and lay a paper towel down over on this side just to help protect the surface and make sure that I don't end up accidentally getting this area wet. I am going to flip my stencil over and get that side done too, but I need to do this side first. So I'm just going to take my misting bottle, it's just a regular mister from Ranger, and I'm just going to spray a couple of drops across the surface, get it going a little bit, get that reacted. The paper is reacting just a little bit as well, not a big deal. Just going to let that set, and it's already starting to kind of change colors. I'm literally watching it change in front of my eyes, which is a really cool kind of effect. Let's see if I can pull that up. It's not very strong, it's not a huge, like, you're not going to be like, oh my gosh, I see the change, but there's definitely a subtle difference where it was sprayed and where it was not sprayed. So I'm going to go ahead and flip the stencil over, feel like I can mirror it a little bit. Oh, you know what, I should dry it before I do that. I may have touched the paper already a little bit, but I want to make sure that the stencil is as dry as possible because, like I said, wherever this stencil touches, or wherever the water touches, it will react with that Distress Oxide. Alright, so this will not be a perfect mirror, but I still think it will work out as nicely as I'm hoping for. Cross your fingers for me. And I got that side a little more heavily, so let's see if I can go back and even it out a little bit. That should be close enough. It doesn't have to be perfect. I'm going to lay my paper towel across just to protect this side of my stencil and add a little more water. Now it should really react well, and I hopefully have evened everything out. I'm crossing my fingers here, so that way I don't have to do that again. It's gonna get it darn close, that's for sure. Alright, so it looks like that the right side of my card, I couldn't tell my directions for a second. The right side of my card got a little more bleached, it turned a little more white than the left side of the card, but you know what, no one's really gonna notice. Embrace your imperfections, don't worry about it, have some confidence in your art. So it didn't quite come out the way I had anticipated, but I still like this look. I like the distressing that's happening in it and the subtle shadows of the clocks in it. I think it's going to be good enough, so we're going to go ahead and move forward with the rest of the card. Next up, I have some Sweet Stamp Shop. I can never say that name correctly. Next up, I have some Sweet Stamp Shop stamps. This set is called Speech Bubble, and I'm going to use Speech Bubble in order to do some stamping. I have some extra scratch 110 pound cardstock Nina Solar White. I'm going to take out the little thought bubble and stamp it down onto this piece of extra cardstock. Which one am I doing? I can't remember. Oh yeah, I was gonna do this little speech bubble right here. So we're gonna start off with this one. We're gonna have to do 2 goes at this. I can't stamp them both at the same time, which is perfectly fine. And I've got to find an acrylic block. There we go. And I'll pick that up. Make sure to condition your stamps. I'm really having a bad time talking tonight. Use your arm or your wrist or just your palm to go ahead and condition your stamp and get it all nice and ready to accept the ink. Once again, I'm using the Versamark ink to ink it up with. I think we'll get a pretty good image. I hope I don't have to use my stamp platform, but if I see that it's not going to give us a good image, then I'll switch over to that. I think this will work just fine though, so let's go ahead and put that right there. Oh, that's so good. Great image. Perfect. Now I've inked up the say what question, and I'm just going to try and stamp it as close to the center as possible. I'm going a little slow so that way I make sure to end it right in the center. Perfect. Alright, I have my coordinating Sweet Stamp Shop Little Sweets, which are the dies that coordinate with the stamp set that I used today. And this is the first time I'm using this stamp set, so I've got to open up the package. There we go. And we're going to go ahead and grab the little die for that. You'll notice that this die, let me see if I can get it in focus here, you can't see through it, and so trying to line this up so that way it will perfectly cut out your speech bubble is hard. You can go ahead and cut the speech bubble out first and then stamp. I find that can be just as difficult, so I'm going to show you how to have x-ray vision. First thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put my piece down. I'm going to go ahead and just run it through my die cut machine just like that, and we'll get that done. Alright, so now that I've cut this out of some scrap paper, by the way, this paper is 110 pound cardstock if I haven't mentioned that already, Nina Solar White. I feel like I did, but just in case I didn't, that's the type of paper I'm using. Scrap piece of paper, you didn't have to use that, but I'm going to use that because that was what was available on my desk. You take your original stamp and you line this up. I may have to stand up to do this because I won't be able to do it. I want to get this as nice as possible. So I want to get this right basically centered. I'm going to take some post-it note tape and just make sure that everything is lined up just like that. And I'm going to tape that right there. And just for good measure, I'm going to tape it on the other side as well. And now what you can do is you can take your die and just pop it into place. So it's basically like a little crater that it fits right into. Then you take your top plate, put that on, and run it back through. Since I'm using thicker paper, I went ahead and ran it back and forth through my die cut machine twice just to be on the safe side and make sure that it cut nicely, which I'm hoping it did. Let's find out. Yep, it cut absolutely perfectly. And there you go. That's how you get a centered die cut when you can't see through the die. And your die may pick up a little bit of the ink. You can actually see where my die picked up a little bit of that ink as I throw it off onto the side of my work table here. I'm just gonna see if I can wipe some of that away with a baby wipe, and you're good to go. Alright, it is time to finish up this card, so I'm going to go ahead and grab my Scotch Dot Adhesive Roller. I'm going to put that on the back of my panel onto a piece of Nino Solo White 110 pound cardstock, just like I was using for that thought bubble. This is what I like to use for card bases because it is so nice, so easy to use, and it's a really good weight for adding on to your card base. Or your card, I mean. Your card front, your card panel, your card thing. Alright guys, you know how much I'm not a fan of foam adhesive, but I feel like this needs to be popped up. It's really speaking to me, again, saying, pop me up, pop me up! So, I'm gonna follow the inner voices and go ahead and add some foam circles onto the back. I really need to just go ahead and bite the bullet and buy some foam tape. I just haven't really had the budget to do so because foam tape is expensive. Alright, what do you think, guys? Right about here? I think that looks pretty good. So I'm just gonna stick that down right there and boom. Man, okay. So it is a simple card, but I love the complexity when you're really looking at it. I think this is a really fun card. I also love how well the Distress Oxides blend together. It is really, the Bristol paper is making a difference. I can tell it's making a difference. Really enjoying that, and I can't wait to experiment more with it and see what else I can do with that Bristol paper. But I think this is a very fun card, and I like the stark white up against the rest of it being very colorful. So lots of fun, and that's today's card. I'm really having a lot of fun using the Pantone Color of the Year for 2018. Ultraviolet is just my strong suit. I feel like I'm having a lot of fun with it for sure. And I want to see if you're having fun with it as well. Make sure to share your photos with me over on Facebook. You can check out where you can find me down in the description below, along with my other social media links as well. And while you're down there, make sure to hit that thumbs up button. That lets YouTube know that you liked my video today, and then they'll hopefully share it across YouTube land. You can also hit that subscribe button, and that way you can get great updates every time I post a new video by also clicking the bell icon. I hope everybody has a great day, and remember guys, keep it off kilter. Bye!